The immortal Mr. Whiskers had always been a bit of a narcissist. He loved being the center of attention and couldn't help but bask in the adoration of his fans. So, when he decided to travel back in time to ancient Egypt, he had one goal in mind: to be worshipped as a god. He knew that becoming a god would be no easy feat, but Mr. Whiskers was confident in his abilities. As he traveled back in time, he couldn't help but marvel at the ancient civilization before him. He knew that he was destined for greatness in this place. The first thing Mr. Whiskers did was to gain the trust of the people. He wandered through the streets, performing tricks and using his time-traveling powers to amaze the people. They were enchanted by the strange cat, and soon Mr. Whiskers had made many friends. But Mr. Whiskers knew that being liked was not enough. He needed to do something truly remarkable to earn the reverence of the Egyptians. So, he came up with a plan. One night, when the people were asleep, Mr. Whiskers snuck into the palace of the pharaoh. He used his time-traveling powers to go back in time and whisper in the pharaoh's ear, convincing him to build a giant monument in Mr. Whiskers' honor. The pharaoh was skeptical at first, but Mr. Whiskers was persuasive. He promised that the monument would bring good luck to the kingdom and would be a symbol of the pharaoh's power and wealth. So, the pharaoh agreed to Mr. Whiskers' plan, and construction on the Great Pyramid of Giza began. Mr. Whiskers watched as the workers toiled day and night to build the pyramid. He knew that he was responsible for this great feat of engineering, and he couldn't help but feel proud of himself. But Mr. Whiskers had one more trick up his sleeve. He knew that the pyramid was not just a monument to his greatness, but it could also serve a practical purpose. He convinced the workers to fill the pyramid with sand, turning it into the world's largest cat litter box. The workers were confused at first, but Mr. Whiskers was insistent. He explained that the sand would absorb any unpleasant odors and would make for a comfortable resting place for cats. And so, the Great Pyramid of Giza was completed. The people of Egypt marveled at the giant structure, believing it to be a symbol of the pharaoh's power and wealth. But Mr. Whiskers knew the truth. He knew that the pyramid was really just a giant cat litter box, built in his honor. And he reveled in the thought of future generations of cats using it as their resting place. Years went by, and Mr. Whiskers became a legend in Egypt. The people worshipped him as a god, and the pyramid became a symbol of his power and influence. But in modern times, archaeologists began to question the purpose of the pyramid. They believed that it was built as a tomb for the pharaoh, and they spent countless hours studying its structure and design. Mr. Whiskers couldn't help but laugh at their ignorance. They had no idea that the pyramid was really just a giant cat litter box, built in his honor. He imagined future archaeologists discovering this fact and marveling at the ingenuity of ancient Egyptians in creating such a massive structure for their feline overlords. Mr. Whiskers had achieved his goal. He had become a god, worshipped by the people of ancient Egypt, and had created the world's largest cat litter box. But as time went on, Mr. Whiskers began to tire of his divine status. The constant adoration and attention was nice at first, but it soon became tiresome. He longed for the simple pleasures of being a regular cat, napping in the sun, playing with toys, and enjoying a good meal. So, he decided to use his time-traveling powers to return to the present day, where he could live out the rest of his days in peace. But when he arrived in the present, he found that things were not as he remembered them. The world was no longer ruled by cats, and people no longer worshipped him as a god. Feeling lost and alone, Mr. Whiskers wandered through the streets, searching for a place where he belonged. That's when he stumbled upon a small cat sanctuary. The cats there were all stray and in need of a home, and Mr. Whiskers knew that he had found his calling. He spent the rest of his days at the sanctuary, playing with the cats and teaching them his time-traveling tricks. And even though he was no longer worshipped as a god, he knew that he had found something even better, a place where he was truly loved and appreciated. As for the Great Pyramid of Giza, it remained a mystery to modern archaeologists. They continued to study its structure and design, searching for clues to its true purpose. But Mr. Whiskers knew the truth. And as he napped in the sun with his feline friends, he couldn't help but chuckle at the thought of the world's greatest wonder being nothing more than a giant cat litter box. Please subscribe. Check the description to be free of your feline overlords.